somebody you can call on. How many people out there won't come to church, but as soon as a relative dies, they want to call their relative that go to Shiloh, can we use your church for a funeral? Because now you don't want to shell out that money. You want the free ride now. So now you will come to church. Why do we have to let adversity force us to come to church when somebody laying in the box in front of the church? Right? Why does adversity have to force us to humble ourselves in our parents' house? Why do adversity have to force us to humble ourselves in front of the man of God? Because you got one more degree than he got. You want to tell him the vision that God gave him. Right? We don't want to follow the vision. If you don't want to follow the vision that's at Shiloh, you can catch them doors. That's the reality. At the end of the day, and that's how my mother gave it to me. This here is mine, all this. If you want to remain here, you do what I say. When you get too grown to live here, you need to have a lease in your name. Same thing in the spiritual. We're talking about adversity today. We're talking about adversity, dealing with difficulties and misfortunes and all these other things. Anybody got anything they want to add while because we just talking. We talking, trying to get understanding. Because I may have some scripture that you guys didn't have, and I don't know it all, but I know a little bit about a little bit. Anybody else? Okay. Okay, let's go to our next scripture. Talking about how to deal with adversity, right? Proverbs 17 and 17. Proverbs 17 and 17. We're trying to teach tonight on adversity. There's different types of adversities. There's different types of misfortunes or distresses. They serve different purposes. My former pastor, he was telling us how when he'd been preaching since he was 16, 17. He wearing $300, $400, $500 suits at 17 and got his own apartment somewhere in Dallas at 17. All that stuff he was saying. I don't knock him. I wasn't there, but I was listening to the story. Telling his testimony. He making enough at one preaching engagement to pay his rent and some of his family members' rent. He was so smart in school that he didn't even have to go to school the whole year. He just walked in because he had so many preaching engagements. He just walk in and take the test. That's his testimony. Right. But see, adversity came. Because for whatever reason, I can't say why it happened. But his testimony says he was driving his truck. And he went over the cliff. Fell about 10 feet, he said. 30 feet, truck just flipping and flipping and flipping. And now he's in a wheelchair. And he said when he was laying in the hospital, neck broke, all that stuff, all his family members came in. Robbed him blind, took his suits, let his apartment go. Had it, no, everybody that came spoke negative in the room. But he couldn't move, but he could hear. And he said it was many a days he laid there with tears coming out his eyes, but he couldn't move. And all he could do was pray within himself. Adversity. But see, he's still here today, even in spite of that adversity. He's in a wheelchair, but he did tell the end of the story, I got more now in God than I had then. My mind is in the right place now, right? Adversity. How do we view adversity? When we go home and that eviction notice is on the door. Now, see, the difference is if you was doing right with your money and you get an eviction notice, that's different than you messing up the money and you getting an eviction notice. God is going to bless either way, but he got to let you go through when you do it the wrong way. Sometimes we suffer adversity for his name's sake. He told us it would happen. Woe unto those by which infirmities come, right? So when people hurt us, they're going to get dealt with, but it's in his timing, right? How do we deal with that? When you're on a job and somebody talking about you, and you know they're talking about you, but they come over and ask you, I ain't got no lunch money. Can you let me hold a couple dollars? How do you deal with that? Do you
pray hard?
Do you pray hard? Me personally, and I'm saved, you got to miss lunch today, player. Now tomorrow, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But we have to think in those moments, because it's those moments, right?
Yes.
We want to take revenge sometimes. God said, vengeance is mine. The book says, vengeance is mine, saith the Lord.
That's
right?
The word.
So, when people talk about me in church, not in this church, I hope, but when they talk about me in church, because you know, church people hurt people.
Yes.
From time to time.
You gotta make it plain.
So, that's adversity, because I can't worship right. I can't focus on the word right. As an usher, you can't usher right. When people are saying things and you hear little whispers when you come in and everybody talking and you walk in and then they stop talking. That's an adverse situation.